And we're live. Hey everyone, I'm Marco. I'm the CEO and one of the code mentors here at Firehose Project, and I'll run you through our info session today. So before we dive in, know that at the end I answer questions. A few of you already emailed me, which is awesome. If you have any other questions, then feel free to either put them in the chat box next to the video or email them to me. You guys should all receive an email. That's why you're here. And I'll take those questions after an answer. Now, what are we going to cover in this info session? First of all, we're going to talk a little bit about why we're doing this, right? Why web development, software engineering, does it make sense? Is that a good career choice? And then we're diving straight into the program. I want to talk a little bit about the intro course, the bootcamp prep course that we're having, and then I'll talk a little bit about the entire full program as well. Run you through the web applications that we're building, talk about algorithms, and data structures, talk about agile team project, and talk about our comprehensive career track where we show you how to actually land a job. And at the end, as I said before, answer your questions, so put them right into the email or in the chat box and answer them. Now let's dive right in. Why are we doing this? I say there's two main reasons. First reason is software engineering and web development are an extremely in-demand field right now. And if we're looking at numbers, there's hundreds of thousands of open positions in the US alone, and that is only going to grow because literally software is eating the world, and there's any type of app that you're using, any type of tool that you're using online, that all gets built by software engineers and web developers, and that demand is not going to go down, right? Other thing that we're seeing is like how fulfilling that profession is, right? If you're thinking about being at the center of a team that actually builds an app like Airbnb, or that builds an app that like Lyft or Uber, that changes the way transportation is done. And if you're looking all the way up, right, there's SpaceX who sends people to colonize Mars eventually, right? And software engineers are at the core of that, writing all the controlling code for these rockets, right? So we're thinking like, man, it's mind-blowing what's happening there, and think about how fulfilling that career is if you're at the cutting edge like that. So two big reasons why we're doing this: extremely in-demand fields with a lot of open positions, and the other one is that it's fulfilling to build something that reaches and improves lives of thousands, tens of thousands, if not millions of people. Now, let's dive in and talk about the full program. Most of you are already coding on our bootcamp prep course. Thumbs up, that is awesome. If you're not coding on our prep course quite yet, go to thefirehoseproject.com, sign up, dive in, and you're going to go through. We teach you how to build a portfolio page. We host it live, so you actually have a cool website that you can show off. And we also go in and teach you Ruby and have you write a few coding scripts that you can run in a terminal, and then we're going to code review those and give you feedback on those, tell you what you can improve. If you ever get stuck, we have a forum where you can go in, get help quick, so you're never stuck for long. And that's the intro course. It's completely free, the prep course. Do that, and then we'll see how well you do, and hopefully we can accept you into our full program. Now, that leads me into what is a full program. So I want to talk about a little bit about the web applications that we're building, about the algorithms and data structures, and kind of how these two paths merge together and get you ready for our agile team project that is happening during the last 8 weeks of the program. Now, let's talk first about the web applications. We're starting out with a pretty simple web application. It's a quote generator, takes a quote, a user or page visitor can enter that in a form, grab that quote, store it in the database, pull it out, and randomly display it on the homepage. There's an about page on that as well, but something pretty simple. Most students build that in a handful of days, and then they get a really good overview over the Ruby programming language, the Rails framework, how all the different pieces of a web application actually fit together. Then next up, we make it a little more complicated, and we build a Yelp clone. That has all kinds of features in there, talking about geolocation, getting pins on a map through the Google Map API, thinking about star ratings, thinking about user comments, thinking about user authentication, meaning like logging in, logging out, registering, signing up, all the way to automated email notifications. So if somebody leaves comment or a star rating on one of your places, and you get an automated email, and that increases the engagement, people coming back to your platform after they either left the comment or created kind of a place or created an entry in the database for one of the on the platform. What that means is like what students are doing when we're giving them the skills, they oftentimes customize these apps. So what we're seeing a lot is like anything from the best parks with kids in London, the best climbing spots across the US, great untouristy places in Manhattan, cool places in my favorite neighborhood. What else do we have? We had one with the best parks for dogs in San Francisco. So anything goes there, and our students really take in what they learned and customizing that for themselves. Now, that's the second app. Then we move in one step further and we build a two-sided marketplace. That app is a lot more complex than the two previous ones, but that's exactly what we want. We always want to introduce a new level of complexity for every web application that you're building with us. Now, the third one, two-sided marketplace, means we having instructors on one side and students on the other side. Now, instructors can go onto the platform that we're building and create video courses that are educational, whatever they may want to be, whatever you want the platform to be. And we have students on the other side, and these students can sign up, and then they can purchase courses from the instructors on the platform. Now, that's a key word because that means we need to integrate with a Stripe API. It's the API we're using to process debit and credit card payments directly on our platform. It also means that this app gets a lot more complex because we need to track on a database level the relationship between all the instructors and all the students, right? Which student signed up for which course? How did the money flow? The money go all to the instructor? Did we as the platform owner get a cut of that? And then which students can actually only see a preview? Which student can see the full course? Who has access? Tracking all that is complex, and we do that through relationships in our database, and we dive deep into the database in that app. Next up, we crank up the real world knob a little higher, and we go into test-driven development. At that point, I usually like to zoom out and talk about what is test-driven development. To do that, I need to explain what testing is, software testing, right? As developers, as software engineers, what we don't like is manual tasks. So we usually write a quick program that tests that a certain feature is working. Think of that as a program that clicks on all the buttons and makes sure that everything is still working, the form is still working, people can still submit data to the database. For that, we're writing automated tests. So we always know that if we ship a feature, everything is working, and we can test it as often as we want without spending that much time on it, and definitely not manually clicking around. Test-driven development is the industry standard right now, and we do that where we actually write a software test first, then build a feature, and make sure everything is working and not broken in our application. That's where we're building an entire app. The next up we're doing, we're taking a bit of a detour from Ruby world, the Ruby programming language, and we introduce JavaScript as a language. So there we're building an entire web application with pure JavaScript, and we also learn how to include JavaScript into an existing Rails and Ruby application so we can improve the user interface and the user experience through more animation inside of our apps. That's what we're building next. Now, that was the web application track that we're on. In parallel, our students go through the algorithm and the data structures track. In that, we're starting pretty simple. So if you're in the prep course right now, think about these coding challenges that we're having you do. And that we're continuing that trend where we have you do coding challenges. We explain how to do that, and that's pure Ruby. And then later on JavaScript as well, writing of like solving complex challenges through code. That starts pretty simple, but then goes all the way into search algorithms and sorting algorithms. So we know how to write complex code in Ruby, and these two paths then merge together, so we're ready for the Agile Team Project. And that's during the last 8 weeks, we do the Agile Team Project. What is the Agile Team Project, right? It is the same situation like in the real world, right? There's a saying that the best products are built by amazing teams, and we want you to be part of an amazing team while still in the program. And the reason we do that is because if I have a choice of hiring somebody for a software engineering position, I'm looking at who can hit the ground running, and somebody who already knows how to work together with a team, because you will always work together with a team in the real world, is somebody that I can put in a position, and will be a high impact employee from day one. And having you be that high impact employee, that is exactly what we're doing in the Agile Team Project. So how does that work in reality, right? What we're doing is we're going to match you together with 4 or 5 other students. You get an additional mentor who's going to be a technical lead, and they're going to run that Agile Team Project the same way they would run their technical team at their work. So senior web developer, let's say from Shopify, for example, is going to manage you and your team on a project. Now, what we're building is a chess game. Now, usually people, when I say that, they're like, oh, come on, chess game, Mark, that's not exciting. Can we build a platform that has X, Y, and Z? The reason why I picked the chess game is because we talked to a ton of technical recruiters. We talked to a lot of senior developers, all of our mentors, and we have hundreds. And we figured, what is impressive to you if you're considering somebody for hiring for a position? And they all came back with something that is technically really challenging. And when we offered, how about building a chess game inside a Ruby on Rails web application, they were all like, wow, this is pretty complicated because there's so many rules that need to be enforced for the game of chess, right? All the moving pieces, which piece can kick out which other piece? How do you check for checkmate? What about the casting move? There's a lot of code, there's a lot of decisions to be made, there's a lot of complex logic to be written to make the game work. That's exactly why we picked that, because it's complex and has a similar level of what's actually happening on any dev team at any given moment. The level of complexity of developers working on features is very similar to what we're doing in the Agile Team Project. Now, you're going through that, and what that means is like you're going to get features assigned to you. You need to pair up with other students. You can do that early in the program as well, but that's when it's really going to be happening, where you pair program, you're going to get code reviewed, you're going to showcase your code, you're going to get feedback, you need to improve your code, and that's pretty much the same web development and software engineering workflow that you will come across at any team out there in the real world. So being aware of that, knowing how that works, and being able to integrate yourself into a team, writing good code, make sure you write your tests, right? Think about the test-driven development app that we built. You need to do that in the Agile Team Project as well. And that really demonstrates, as I said before, that you're a high impact employee from day one. And that makes a huge difference versus if I'm looking at somebody who knows how to work together with a team versus somebody who only coded by themselves and followed some tutorials. That is a night and day difference. Now, that's pretty much our program, right? We're thinking about the web application track. We're thinking about the Agile, the algorithms, data structure track, and then how they merge together into the Agile Team Project. And we do that all to get you to a point where you're ready to hit the ground running on a job and be really like an in-demand developer where you can actually provide impact from day one. Now, we also have a full track, I think over 50 lessons detailed that prepare you to find a job and switch careers, right? And what we're doing there is teaching you how to fish, so you can use those strategies that we have there to actually repeatedly land a job. And we're looking at that as a funnel, the same way as a salesperson would strategize to close business, right? And what we're talking about is like where to find the best jobs, how to get it, how to find them, how to source them, and how to then go and apply for them, right? We're talking about mock interviews, resume preparation, obviously portfolio pages, but then also like how to address different situations, different companies, different job description. And this is actually the core part of our job search optimization track, where we optimize your strategy so you have the biggest chance of success of actually finding and landing a job at the end. So think about a funnel and feeding the funnel completely and turning it from one step in a funnel to the next step in the funnel. Optimization track, and you have access to that while you're going through the full program. And obviously a mentor is going to help you on that as well. Throughout that entire period, you obviously have our entire support system available to you. So that is anything from one-on-one mentor sessions, right? You have senior web developers taking you under their wing, and coaching you through weekly mentor sessions. You have our office hours where all our students come together, ask questions, learn from each other. Mentors are present. You also have our technical forum. If you have any questions, you're stuck, you spin your wheels, right? That's not good. You can take a screenshot of your error message, post it there. A lot of you already have experience with that. How well does this work in the intro course? Take the screenshot, put it there. We give you help really fast, and so you're unstuck and you can focus on learning and improving your skills rather than spinning your wheels. That is pretty much everything what I wanted to get across now. I already received a handful of questions, which is awesome. If you have any questions, put them in the box next to the video, the chat box, or email them to me, and I'm going to go in and check right now what kind of questions I've already received. So give me a moment here while we're doing this nice and live. All right, I want to pull up the chat box. I can't run the video while I'm running the info session, otherwise you'd hear me double. Oh, yeah, got some emails, awesome. Okay, awesome. Chris had some questions about which specific algorithms are covered in your program. Is it mainly sorting and searching algorithms? Yes, that's it. There's several. There is several additional ones on top. Think about multidimensional arrays, arrays and hashes in general. There's typical interview questions as well that oftentimes come up in a technical interview. So it goes towards searching and sorting, but it starts at a lot different level as well, because you also need to get really good at writing Ruby code and understanding the syntax. So that goes a lot into object-oriented programming, right? Which is the way we use the Ruby programming language, and you understanding how to do that, you understanding how to make your classes, how to organize your code, and make sure it's working properly. So think about the sorting and the searching algorithms as kind of towards the end, and then we also get into Fibonacci sequences and all that stuff, which gets even more advanced. But think about starting pretty simple with just hashes and arrays, and then going all the way to sorting algorithms. You had a follow-on question. You guys use Code Wars or Codabyte? We do a little bit of Code Wars with all of our challenges. These are mostly preparation. It's kind of like optional. Hey, I want to go to Code Wars, knock out a few coding challenges, but everything else is on our platform. And these are our coding challenges. These are coding challenges that are submitted by our mentors. What they use in technical interview challenges, and we actually had a student just leave a comment, I think on our community page. I was like, oh, I just came back from my interview and I got the job, which was awesome. And guess what the coding challenge question was in the technical interview was the coding challenge that I actually completed and solved, and went through my solution with my mentor doing a one-on-one mentorship session. So it was pretty cool standing on a whiteboard and actually knowing precisely what I'm talking about and getting quizzed the same way as my mentor quizzed me. So the coding challenge we have is pretty real world what people would ask in a technical interview, and also what you need to know to write really good Ruby code. It's a great question. So not so much Code Wars or Codabyte. We're not outsourcing that. These are our own ones. You can do that on top of it to get to a certain level. So I hope that gave you a good answer. If anyone else has questions, put them in live chat. I got a few more via email, I think. So I'm just checking on those, but I already wrote a few down. Let me bring those up. Yeah, are you teaching algorithms? Yeah, I just answered that. Chris asked that as well, which is great. That's kind of like these two tracks that we're having, the web application track, and then also the algorithms and the data structure. It's definitely teaching algorithms. And something important, you want to understand computer science fundamentals as well, right? And that goes in there as well. Not only knowing how to write good code, but also how to think about solving a problem and how to approach it. And that's like a lot of times half the battle, how to take a complex challenge and break it into individual steps. And you'll learn that because we're doing that over and over again. And that will enable you on the job to actually take a complex problem, think about it, come up with a solution, solve it. And that's what you're getting paid for as a developer, software engineer every single day. Why are we different? I get this every week. Great question. I think three main reasons that you tell is depth of the curriculum, right? I don't see anyone else out there teaching you that many, building that many web applications while also going into JavaScript and handling Ruby, and then doing the algorithms as well, and then actually having an 8 weeks agile team project that is as real world as it gets, where you code together with other team members and then also with another mentor on top of your one-on-one mentor. That's something. And then like the senior web developers that we're having, these are not students that just graduated. I see this over and over again. It pains me. It's like we're giving you mentors with years and years of experience who actually can take you under the wing. They didn't just graduate a few weeks ago. And now they're mentoring you back. So your mentor is top notch. And I think the other big reason is, right, if you think of where you're coming from, and that's another question that I received, like how did you guys started, right? We started that by teaching hundreds of students in person at Harvard, Carnegie Mellon, Babson, Brown University, and we took all these learnings and put them into our online classes. So when one of the key differentiators, and you're looking, it's like it's our learning platform is engineered to make things click for you. So what I mean by that, you get the right content at the right time. So you're like, oh, now everything makes sense and everything comes together. And that's what I don't see anyplace else. They teach you. You need to learn A, you need to learn B, you need to learn C. Versus us, you can go through and start with C if you want to. And actually, the platform will suggest what you should do based on your performance. Great question. So let me double check if we got another one here. Okay, Chris, there's more question. I love all the question. What have some of the apps favorite? What has been some of the apps that your students have created? Favorite apps created by students. Cool. So there's a difference, right? If people go through, some have passion projects, some actually want to build their own app. They're kind of part of our entrepreneur track. If they don't necessarily want to land a job, happy to give you some examples. I think one is Stevens. It's an on-demand medical marijuana delivery app. So if you want to get pot home, you can kind of get an Uber coming to you, deliver that to you from the medical dispensary. He built that app with us. That was a while ago. His business is going pretty gangbusters right now. I think he makes like 50,000 in revenue, or by now probably double that per month. So he's doing really well on that and built the technology out together with us. Another app was a student who was a nurse at a hospital, and he built an app that helps doctors, nurses, and patients communicate together. He was a nurse, he's no longer a nurse. He's the developer that builds that entire app out and improves it for the hospital. So he has hundreds of nurses and hundreds of doctors on it and thousands of patients on his app. So he built it up with us. Right now we have another student who builds an app out that helps gyms communicate better with their clients and automates their marketing process. So he builds a platform for that. He's been running a company for years doing that very manually, and now he wants to build a tech for it. So he's coding with us and doing pretty well. So hopefully, Chris, I hope that's a brilliant idea. I don't know which one you're referring to. I thought all of them are pretty good. But yeah, these are some apps that our students have built. Some of them are, I can't share them because they're like behind admin walls for the hospital, especially. There's a lot of compliance and data security going on there. But yeah, most of them are super, super interesting. But the most important thing is that all of you have a coding portfolio at the end. And I'm not talking necessarily about a website. I'm talking about GitHub, where all your code is listed. And if you're looking for a job, looking to switch careers, right, that is where you really get a lot out of, because you can showcase the complexity of your code. It's not necessarily what the apps are, what they can do. It's how complex the code is. And it can be as simple as you did something really complex on the Agile team project, and that's all that you present in a technical interview, right? And I was like, wow, this is impressive because there's a lot of nuances to it. And so yeah, great. Glad you like the delivery app. It's pretty cool. All right, let me see if we got some more questions. I think that's pretty much it. One check over here. More time, give me a second. Just pulling in all the different ones. Don't want to forget anyone. Yeah, already answered the algorithms one. I think we talked about that. Yeah, we have a job support. Just got another email. We definitely have job support as well. I said we have the job search optimization track that basically gives you what you need. We're teaching you how to fish so you can replicate the best strategies over and over again, and not just use it for this job search, but use it for the rest of your senior software engineering career. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, exactly. HIPAA is a big issue, Chris. It's kind of, I think you got going about thinking about ideas. Oh, it's a good idea. So yeah, that's awesome. Like always good to think about ideas, passion projects that you could build. That gets you excited, and then it also helps you like to go and build an app and then think about which of the features that I just learned how to do can I apply for my own idea, and then start going on your own idea, have your mentor help you a little bit, bring it to the next level, and slowly you see actually your own baby kind of growing, your own application. That's really exciting. That's what a lot of our students are doing as well. But keeping the eye on the prize, right, and thinking about, hey, my main goal is to land a job and break into that and work on part of a technical team as a developer, as a software engineer. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Hope I answered all the questions. Thanks for coming, everyone. And I see you hopefully in the intro course, coding with us if you're not there, and in the full program if we can accept you. So if you haven't signed up yet, go to thefirehoseproject.com, start our prep course. And thanks for coming. Thumbs up. See you next time. Bye.